Alright, hello to all my guys, gals, and non-binary pals out there across the electrical ocean. This is Jazzman, and we are back with another game. This one going to be between Nerdhead playing Full Faction Kathir Forest, and over here we've got punk4life playing Full Faction Iron Fist Stronghold. So Nerdhead with kind of a lucky first deploy here, going second, but managing to get a double deploy, capturing him both of these fonts. Simultaneously, Elven Blade Master and Snake Charmer, two very cheap champions. And of course, Snake Charmer summoning the Poison Serpent. Up top here for Punk Life, we've got Beer Maiden, getting his fonts at roughly the same time as Nerdhead. And seems to be like a full dwarf deck for Punk4life. He's got the Mortar Crew, which I'm so glad is a runnable champion now. Back when he was 88 Nora, sort of that in-between period, like 2017, 2018. He wasn't very good just because he was 88 Nora and he had lost most of his old abilities like Ground Striker and Artillery Strike, I think was changed or increased in cost. So he just wasn't very playable. But now, I mean, he really puts out the damage from high range. He's got Slam at 6 range, which I think was a mistake. I mean, I hate Slam on ranged champions, but I mean, it's strong, so there's that. Precision, and then Artillery Strike, of course, his signature ability. Laying down the pain from 9 range. What have we got over here? We've got a bunch of illusions, actually. Len the Weird Uncle for Nerdhead. Interesting. And we've got, of course, Elven Illusionist, bringing with her a bevy of illusions to support. One of them, of course, dying due to Len's psychic aura. And actually, Mortar Crew here showing his stuff, slamming that Elven Illusionist into one of the illusions, killing it and doing a ton of damage to that Elven Illusionist. So very nice. Ooh, a Brubacher Brothers. Very interesting for Punk4life. I never see these anymore. Back when Sibling was a crazy ability, you might have seen them sometimes because the buff it used to give was huge. Plus, when you deployed one of them, your other sibling was revealed in the rune dock, making it a lot easier to get the buff in play. But nowadays, not so much though. Brubacher Brothers does have a nice set of abilities when both of them are in play at once, but when they're all alone, they're kind of not really worth it over other dwarves. Master Axeman is in that same price bracket, and then you've got stuff like the Gallows Warden and the Inquisitor Malik. If you that's the limited edition version, but got some damage going down onto Dwarven Mortar Crew. And yeah, Brubacher, we'll see how much they do here. I mean, they're usually pretty good against ranged units because they get assault and charge when they're within 5 spaces of each other. So hopefully we'll see that come into play. There's an actual Elven Archer from Nerdhead, not an illusion, which the illusionist can summon, but a real one. So it's not too bad. I mean, it's 69 Nora at 7 range barrage. I think it can get like barrage 3 for 74. Which is kind of funny, but other than that, it's just sort of basic and long range bland champion, but still very runnable. And ooh, there's the second Brubacher Brothers. So everyone, they both get charge and assault. And interestingly enough, you can actually reset the cooldown of charge by moving out of Brubacher bond range and then moving back in, which is not something you can, not an interaction you really see with other abilities. I know it's on the Woodland Portal. You can do the same with like Swap, so you can reset the cooldown of Swap, which I think is kind of bullshit, but that's just showing my hypocrisy as an Iron Fist Stronghold player, maybe. So we've got Gallows Warden, fortified with the Saint Samir's Brew, contesting against the Blade Master. Now, Gallows Warden does a lot better in sort of 2v1 situations because of Melee Specialist 3, but even in 1v1s, he does pretty well. Imposing Aura and Execute, meaning he gets the more damage on the attack, and then Clamp to keep people in place, and then everyone loses AP around him at the end of the turn, so he can easily get off 2 attacks every turn, whereas your opponent's champion will be left with 1. So there's the barrage onto the Dwarven Mortar Crew, of course. Nerdhead prioritizing taking that thing down. It's on 15 HP, but Grimlick's Bane will not be quite enough to finish it off because of the Iron Fist Stronghold bonus. And already Nerdhead is sort of showcasing the power of the Illusionist here. He's got a lot more, well, not meat on the board, but he's got a lot of things on the board that will eat up Punk4life's AP on his champions. And just sort of, the illusions are used as blockers more than anything else. So if the Brubacher brothers wants to try and contest that font, he's going to have to get through this illusion and any more snakes that the Charmer can put out. Then the Elven Shade down here. This illusion probably going to make its way forward, just, again, to be another blocker. But the Shade, if it does go down here to haggle with the Gallows Warden, the detection won't be too much of an issue, simply because Melee Specialist 3, if the Shade is ever stealthed within Melee Specialist 3 range, then Gallows Warden will be able to, Punk4life will be able to know where it is, because the ability is triggered. But Lynn the Weird Uncle also moving down towards mid, sort of just floating around there, maybe going to try and get a hinder movement off on something. Yeah, the Brew Bros currently without beer. Still fairly threatening in the HP department. This Brubacher brother getting invigorated and being granted a brew. Now these are some pretty good stats. I mean, again, Master Axeman, stuff like Night Watch or whatever can get similar stuff, but it seems like we're gonna see the charge come in here onto this Elven Illusionist. And wham! 15 big damage. And then Mortar Crew can finish it off if he wants, or he could maybe try and set up a slam. I'm just wondering if maybe... I don't think there's any way he can position for a slam like the Archer into the Illusionist. That would be pretty nice if he could. This Brubacher brother going to get a charge off as well, presumably. Maybe onto the Archer. Yep, Mortar Crew finishing off the Illusionist, and then this Brubacher brother can charge the Archer here, and that Archer is just screwed. I mean, there's no way that he can get... Okay, well, maybe Punk4life doesn't know about the reset, but he Earth Shakes, that Illusionist dead, moves the Shade back. Of course, Shade doesn't take any damage because of combat awareness, but Shade still does get lumbering. And then Elven Archer out of the font. So Punk4life secures that font for the time being. I don't know. I don't know about that Earthshaker. I think it would have been better for him to keep the Elven Archer engaged to his Brubacher brothers, because she would have taken 2 assault hits if she wanted to disengage and run away. Which would have put her down to, like, what, 2 HP? Or, no, 7 HP. But, you know, it would have been harder for her to get away from these guys if he would have not earth-shaked there. But now it seems like Elven Archer gonna take a shot at the Crew and then hinder movement to finish it off. So Crew for the Illusionist, not too bad. And the font, of course, still being contested, while the Gallows Warden battles with the Blade Master for control of bot side. It looks like Snake Charmer going to throw its passive useless body forward, and he's not going to contest. Come on. He wanted the globe instead, but I feel like it would have been a lot better for him to contest. Because, I mean, your own font is contested too, right? I mean, like, you can get back in, of course, with the Shade. But, I mean, if he could have taken that font, and then it would have basically been Beer Maiden. Oh, okay, so he's going to contest anyway with a Greenhouse. Normally, relics can't be dropped within Iron Fist Stronghold fonts, but Greenhouse is an interesting choice because you can germinate a sapling, which is a real champion, by the way, and take the font from one space away, assuming he has the Nora to do so. Germinate does cost 20 Nora to spawn a sapling. Oh, don't tell me he's gonna... Oh, he didn't have the Nora to spawn a sapling. Nerdhead, come on. Okay. So he was hoping maybe that the globe would give him enough to spawn a sapling, but I guess he was a little bit short, so now he can't contest the font at all. I mean, he could have contested it just with Snake Charmer and not wasting the Nora on a Greenhouse, but I guess he wanted like a combat champion in there. But I don't know. He could have moved Len the Weird Uncle up, and after Punk4life sent in the Beer Maiden, I think he could have done that without the Greenhouse. I think that was a little bit of an overreach. But we see the Brubacher brothers battling it out against the Shade and the Archer. Shade stealthing up a little bit prematurely, I would say. I think, since the Shade had lumbering from Earthshaker, it would have been better, I think, to save, to just walk into the font and wait a turn and then stealth up. And then walk out of Earthshaker range later. Because now, I mean, like, you're unstealthed. You can, I guess, always get off a Shadow Strike. But it would have just been, you would have saved yourself a bit of damage by doing that. So Brubacher brothers, they're not quite within Brubacher bond range at the moment. But they will be soon, and that Elven Archer is, again, not in a very safe place. Meanwhile, we got Talgar up here. Now, Talgar, being deployed to defend against these spawns, is a pretty good choice here. Thirst for Battle gonna let him build up his stats over time. It would have been even better if he had Spur upgraded, but Thirst for Battle is okay as well. He's gonna get a bunch of extra damage and defense from fighting off these guys. And this is exactly the kind of situation Talgar wants to be in, like a lot of cheap, low damage, or well, lowish damage, low HP champions that he can feed off of and get stronger over the course of a longer game. Which this might actually turn out to be, because despite Nerdhead's font being contested, he's still in a decent place. He's got the top font contested with the sapling. And the Gallows Warden actually not looking too bad, or not looking too good here against the Elven Blade Master and Len the Weird Uncle combination. Of course, getting poked out by the Elven Archer earlier as well. But Elven Blade Master having Strike really helps get around that Melee Specialist 3 defense. So sort of having the Melee Specialist bonuses be nullified by the Strike there really puts the pressure on Punk4life to actually win back that font, which he will be able to next turn. Like he can, I mean, partially, he can kill the Blade Master with Gallows Warden, and then it'll be Len the Weird Uncle versus Gallows Warden, which Gallows Warden will unfortunately lose, just because Len is already still full HP. But Elven Archer should be dead next turn as well. Gonna take 20 damage here from the Brubacher brother. And then, meanwhile, this one, I guess, can search for the shade, but it doesn't really even need to find the shade. All it needs to do is sort of just sit in the font and wait. If I were Punk4life, I'd probably try to switch these guys up at some point, because this Brubacher brother has Resist Physical, whereas this one has Resist Magical. And so the Resist Physical one would be, of course, better suited to fight the shade. But this one, taking out the Archer, getting invigorated by Beer Maiden. I keep wanting to call her Brewmaster. I don't know why. But so what he can do here actually is, well, Earthshake won't do anything because Elven Shade has combat awareness, but he can send this Brubacher brother back into this font, and then this one can actually go contest this font, which it looks like he's going to do. But the shade blocked him. Nerdhead was too nerdy, too smart for Punk4life's play there. So the Brubacher brother instead just going to get a hit off onto that shade, who will promptly re-stealth with Shadow Strike. And there's actually a Sepulchre of Kings trying to keep his Gallows Warden from falling to Len's Depressive Psychic Aura. There goes Talgar, taking out the snake up top. I feel like he should have taken out the sapling instead, because the sapling is the real champion contesting his font right now. I guess he was constricted, wasn't he? Yeah, he was probably constricted, so he was forced to attack the snake. Constrict is kind of annoying, because even if it does no damage at all, it still applies the constricted debuff, which forces you to attack. So we've got Aurora Lancer here to defend Nerdhead's side font against these Brew Bros. And the Bros have actually done quite a bit of work this game, surprisingly. They got 2 kills on the Archer, and then soon to be the Shade and the Illusionist they helped out with. So they're not to be underestimated. Len, of course, trying his best to fight through the Sepulchre of Kings protection. Doing a bit more damage, being left with 8. And because of the order of operations here, Psychic Aura works at the start of the turn, so actually Gallows Warden should be safe from that aura damage. Because Legacy of Kings refreshes at the start of every turn. So I'm pretty sure Gallows Warden should stay safe from that aura. Another turn. Maybe he'll grab that globe. And then he can't really kill the Len, so it'd probably be best for him to just grab that globe and sort of move away for the moment until he can get like not a price of victory, like a Priest of Valdak, global healing going down, which would be pretty good here because the Brew Bros are also both injured. So Talgar taking a bit of damage from that sapling. Of course, the sapling going to fall to the Hammer of Talgar eventually, and Snake Charmer moving herself into the font. sort of threatening to contest topside. So a lot of pressure on pretty much all the fonts this game. Very chaotic match we've got going on here. Beer Maiden sort of just hovering around mid, invigorating what needs to be invigorated, handing out beer. Talgar, of course, lacking his brew for the moment, but maybe Beer Maiden can go up and pass him one. And we've got a Dwarven Wind Fury. Now, I like Dwarven Wind Fury. I was, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I was partially responsible for giving him the buff he so desperately needed. Seems like Punk4life has gone with Vindictive and Zeal speed upgraded. Not too bad. I think a lot of people like to go Sunder just because you can get a lot of attacks off at range 4 with, Zeal. But Vindictive is pretty good as well. I mean, you can, with this build, you could probably get 3 attacks more often than not. Because you stack up your speed, and then when you have a Dwarf on cooldown, you get multi-3. And even with only 9 damage, I mean, Dwarves have a lot of ways to buff their champions. Even with just a simple brew, they get plus 2 damage here, so making that 11. And it seems like Vindictive triggering on... what does Die there? Oh yeah, there was already the Mortar Crew on cooldown. I was wondering, like, why didn't he have Vindictive buff already? But yeah, the Mortar Crew on cooldown gives that. So yeah, the Gallows Warden, as previously mentioned, is safe from the Psychic Aura. And actually, man, Punk4life investing a lot of Nora into making sure that Gallows Warden defends against Len's advance on that mid-font. So Beer Maiden, rather than going back and handing off a brew to Talgar, goes forward and passes a brew to the Brewbo. I feel like I've messed up that name so many times this game already, but passes a beer to the Brewbro. I'm not good with tongue twisters, my apologies. But we got Aurora Lancer coming in to help defend Nerdhead's font. And then a Condor Fury, so Nerdhead definitely still sitting on a good amount of Nora. And Condor Fury going to be pretty good here, leading the charge, reinforcing his other deploys, letting them contest back faster with initiative. Then Len, realizing that he's probably better off taking out the Sepulchre for the moment, because the Mark of Redemption, along with the Sepulchre damage reduction, will make his damage against Gallows Warden pretty much meaningless, even though he's only on 8 HP. Like, you'd expect Gallows Warden on 8 HP to just, die. But the Purified, plus the Scale Armor, plus the Legacy of Kings, it's tough. It's tough to eat through that, especially when you can't really use spells because of the Iron Fist Stronghold bonus. But it's important to note here that Sepulchre of Kings' protection does actually include itself. So the first 8 damage dealt to the relic itself will be prevented as well. So Talgar throwing his hammer at that sapling, not wanting to waste AP, walking all the way around to kill it, and then preparing, I should say, to lay into that greenhouse before another sapling pops out. There's the Dwarven Wind Fury at work, putting up its ranged stance, getting off 2 hits. And Gallows Warden actually making a mess of that bottom font. Understandably so, with all the Nora that Punk4life has put into keeping it alive. And it seems like the tide is slowly beginning to turn in Punk4life's favor after he deals with that Snake Charmer in his font. And assuming the Gallows Warden lives, of course, he'll have 3 fonts to presumably 2, because by the time all that happens, Nerdhead will have almost certainly taken back his bottom font against the Brew Bros. Now, it's worth remembering that Elven Shade is still sneaking about somewhere, still lurking off in the shadows, but perhaps moving down towards bottom font, now that the side font for Nerdhead has reinforcements arrive. It seems like Punk4life realizes that as well, so he's going to go for a charge here on the greenhouse, not quite taking it out, leaving it on 5 HP, but retreating his Brew Bros, making sure that they don't get sniped from the shadows by Elven Shade, while leaving the Beer Maiden to contest the bottom font. Now, it's usually the case that you really don't want your support champions, contesting fonts against stuff like Aurora Lancer and Condor Fury, but at this point, Beer Maiden has granted pretty much as many equips as it could. And, it's invigorated, it's shattered some illusions, it's done some stuff. So it's basically paid for itself at least once over. Now it's gonna drain more Nora from Nerdhead's font. So meanwhile, Punk4life gonna send his other combat champions back to consolidate his gains. Towards mid, this Brewbacher brother is probably going to go bottom and help kill the Len. Meanwhile, the Len the Weird Uncle really not able to make much headway against that Sepulchre of Kings, doing exactly 0 damage from an attack to it. Very nice, very nice use of AP. But Nerdhead not quite out of it yet, going to drop a sapling in Punk4life's font, contesting it yet again. But I mean, that's really just going to help Punk4life out. I mean, he's going to get Talgar thirsting for battle off that. And by the time Talgar reaches this bottom side of the map, he's going to be super stacked up with Thirst for Battle procs. So Snake Charmer not quite able to summon another snake at the moment. Goes for a... what did she do with her AP? She just like moved back and then moved back into the font. I guess... she must have healed, right? Yeah, she healed championed herself. But then Len the Weird Uncle gonna do a drudgery, sapping everyone's AP. So now Talgar's he's still gonna be able to get 2 hits and kill the sapling. But if I were Punk4life, I might be tempted to just sort of let that sapling live, so that Talgar can stack Thirst for Battle on it. I mean, it is contesting the font, but you know, he's already winning. He's already winning bot side. He's going to get top back at some point. Maybe that's just me being greedy. I feel like this game is a little bit precarious for the still for Punk4life. He's not like dominating it yet, but he's well on his way there. Yeah, man, look at that Dwarven Wind Fairy, 9 speed, stacking up with Vindictive and Multi 3. So he's gonna get off 3 attacks next turn, kill that Snake Charmer, and Demolition Team coming in here actually. So Demolition Team buffed in the previous Iron Fist patch, sort of competing with Dwarven Mortar Crew actually for his slot, just because they both kind of fulfill the same role, although Demolition Team is more of a mid-ranged unit than Dwarven Mortar Crew, and it's long range. But Demolition Team still has some useful stuff to it. It's got the Provision Offense, which gives it a little bit more synergy with Dwarf decks, because Dwarven Mortar Crew cannot actually become equipped. Nor can it become drunk, because it is also race construct. And what was that? Was that a Shatter summoned? Yep, Dwarven Beer Maiden shatters. Well, she actually shattered nothing, because there was nothing down here to shatter. So I guess just wasting the last of her AP before she falls to the Fury and the Aurora. Although if I were Nerdhead, I'd probably try and kill that Brewbacher brother first, just to get rid of the buff on this other one coming in here. I mean, the Dwarven Beer Maiden can die pretty much any time, right? I mean, it's a passive champ. There's no reason to focus it. Well, you've got, the Brewbacher brothers in your face. Condor Fury going to be able to get 2 hits for... it does have Strike, so 24 damage. And then I guess Aurora Lancer can disengage, get off another hit. And, what was that? That was... was that the Sepulchre of Kings damage reduction? No, it couldn't have been. It looked like the Blood Rage spell, but it wasn't. It was like a red misty animation from somewhere. Okay, well, anyway, we'll find out eventually, I'm sure. Snake Charmer charming these champions up top. It's about time, by the way. I feel like she should have done that earlier, so that she could have saved some damage on herself. But there goes the Beer Maiden. Condor Fury getting a nice quest kill off there, before getting a further hit onto that Brewbacher brother. Of course, this one is the one with Magic Resist 3, so Menelaus, the incoming Menelaus will not be able to finish it off this turn. And man, that Gallows Warden still holding strong against the Sepulchre of Kings and, against the Len the Weird Uncle here. Still on 8 HP, and Punk4life going to get a nice 30 Nora refund when Mark of Redemption expires. Or yeah, it's going to... Only if it's destroyed. I think it's the Wrath versions that get a refund if you don't kill the champ. So Gallows Warden going to get another hit onto the Len. And Len going to go down to the Hammer of the Warden. Get that globe, man. Yeah, you earned it. And then this Brubacher brother, I feel like he can't really do anything too impactful over here. I mean, he can get some hits on the Condor. I doubt there's any way he can kill it, although Talgar, if he somehow gets like a hammer throw, maybe. But it seems like Dwarven Wind Fury actually going to get a Soul Reaver equip, allowing him to finish off that Snake Charmer, cleansing the charm, while Demolition Team gets the globe. And yep, Wind Fury with 10 speed going to move right up into that into the combat zone down here. And this is basically how I predicted the game would turn out. Punk4life securing both the side and the mid font, while Nerdhead managing to recapture his bot side. The Brew Bros can get off some charges if they want, but it looks like Punk4life is going to retreat with them for the moment. Maybe try and heal them up with the Priest of Valdak, or maybe even a Desperate Heal. A Desperate Heal could be a potential option as well. Then maybe, I don't know, there's the, maybe they could get some, nah, they're already equipped. I was thinking maybe they could get Shattered and get a different brew for regen, but Punk4life does not currently have a Brewmaster in play to give the Firebeard brew. And okay, so the Elven Shade. So we see that Gallows Warden has not quite captured the bottom font. Elven Shade, lurking about, has snuck into that bottom font, and Gallows Warden is on 13 HP, but the Shade will eventually have to reveal itself if it wants to do anything meaningful down there. Aurora Lancer moving up, not quite able to get an Aurora Lance onto that Gallows Warden quite yet. But I want to see... Okay, so basically Condor Fury with Strike is going to have a field day versus Talgar. That's going to be a good matchup for it, despite having Tough 2 and Regen 1. It's just a question of whether or not the Strike will be enough to eat through Talgar's defense before Talgar's 18 damage gets through Condor Fury. Because Condor Fury doesn't have any defensive abilities, although it does have the backup of Menelaus with Healing Mind. And Punk4life's other champions are sort of having to pull back here. The Demolition Team and the Wind Fury not able to influence the combat just yet. Meanwhile, Ranger Elite coming in with initiative, eating through the Earth Shaker. And then the Brubacher brothers just sort of hanging back, waiting to heal up. And Nerdhead is honestly in a pretty good position, despite having had his font contested for so long. He sort of evened it out by contesting Punk4life's top fonts, the Snake Charmer and the Saplings. But the problem here for Punk4life is that a few of his champions are on low HP and not really able to do much. Meanwhile, Nerdhead's champions are all full HP, very healthy. And I think right now Punk4life sort of needs like a minister or maybe another Beer Maiden. Something to surge his champions forward and get them into combat. Because otherwise he sort of risks getting poked down by Menelaus and, the arrow shot and the lance and all the ranged nonsense that KF can put out. There's the Priest of Valdak, Divine Favor 3, healing everyone up nicely. And of course, Gift of Scrying, it's already pretty late into the game, so Gift of Scrying not going to do much right now, but Heal Champion 3, definitely going to be useful here. And yeah, let's see. Demolition Team moving up still lacks the comfort of a warm beer, or I guess warm beer. I'm not British, by the way. That's a British thing. But a nice cold brew. Actually, since they're dwarves, I guess it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary to have a warm beer, right? I mean, that seems like something a dwarf would enjoy, especially like a Firebeard brew from the Brewmaster. I could see that being a warm beverage. But Gallows Warden here, still on 25 HP after that nice little heal it got. And this game, I can sort of see this game turning into something of a stall fest until Punk4life... I feel like Punk4life is definitely going to be the one to engage first. Assuming that this mid-font still remains in a state of neutrality. Just because, I mean, he doesn't have like the ranged firepower that Nerdhead does at the moment. He doesn't have as much AP to work with either, being... Kathir Forest, as Nerdhead is. And Menelaus just going to sit back, pump some Healing Mind action into that Condor Fury. But Aurora Lancer going to go for the kill on that Sepulchre of Kings, which he is not quite able to get because the the 8 damage reduction. So Elven Shade might have to reveal itself to finish that off. Although I think an arrow shot maybe would do the job just as well. Just because, you wouldn't want to reveal your Elven Shade unless you had to, right? But Gallows Warden here. Now, the thing is, if the Sepulchre of Kings does go down, it might provide an opportunity for Gallows Warden to come in and get a double hit onto that Aurora Lancer. See, whenever I run Gallows Warden, I like to take Charge 3 over Opportunistic, just because it combos nicely with Clamp. Because charge attacks from Charge trigger Clamp and force the opponent into a stationary position. So you can sort of extend your threat range a bit and make people stay back to prevent their champions from becoming immobilized. But we see an Elven Druid here for Nerdhead. An Elven Druid, again, another ranged champion. Very annoying to have to face when you've got a bunch of melee. Got Stall, Entangling Attack at 5 range. I mean, that's a hate facing Elven Druids with that build. Because, you just can't move. Like, you get stuck and you can't move. Then it's annoying. So, yeah. Like, your champion just never get to move. And then there's Carnivorous Vines and Brambles that always come down. But there's the Elven Shade. Currently sporting a double Careless for whatever reason. Nice little overlay bug there. But Gallows Warden on 5 HP. Going to get cleansed from Purified. So not quite dead yet. Maybe we'll use its last breath to try and find that Elven Illusionist. Or not Elven Illusionist. Elven Shade. That has been sneaking around the map all game. And okay, so Punk4life going to invest into a guard tower. And that's actually alright, since guard tower will just be another body for Nerdhead to have to eat through before it takes down, before he takes that font. Gallows Warden killing the Shade, gathering the Globe for his trouble, and then moving away. Of course, he's still dead. He's on 5 HP. Like, any hit from anything will finish him off. There's the Brewmaster. There's the one that I've been looking for all game. He's got Flame Burst and Carouse, so we're going to see some Firebeard brews being passed. And Talgar not showing any sign of fear, heading right into that font against the Condor Fury and the Druid. Now, Druid can still put in a lot of work here. Talgar being melee, aside from his hammer throw, we're going to see just how annoying that combo can be. While Condor Fury sort of goes in for little pokes and then retreats onto Talgar. No reason to actually engage him in melee if you can avoid it, right? But Punk4life, man, what did I say? Punk4life definitely going to be the one to make the first engage happen here, realizing that he's outmatched in the range department. And see, the problem here is though that Nerdhead just has so much more IP to work with as Kathir Forest that he can swing his forces around and just sort of reinforce that bottom font contest situation fairly quickly, while the Aurora Lancer gets rid of these contesting obstacles in mid font. I don't know, if I were Nerdhead, I'd probably swing Menelaus over. I'd probably just, use Aurora Lancer. Like, you don't even need to kill the guard tower this turn. You basically just need to stall that Talgar with an Entangling Attack, and then swoop Condor in for a hit, back him out a little bit, maybe get an arrow shot, or no, his arrow shot's on cooldown, but he can move up with Ranger Elite, and then move up with Menelaus, get in preparation to kill that Talgar on the following turn. It's kind of difficult as Punk4life because you don't have any Invigorate champions, you don't have Minister down. I don't think he would run like Glorious Charge or anything if he's running like the Brew Bros and if he's got demolition teams out, But Glorious Charge is still an option. I guess Gravity Flux maybe if he wants to pull the Condor in closer. But Nerdhead taking his sweet time on this turn. I'm not. Oh God, I hope I'm not disconnected. That would be very unfortunate. Okay, I'm not. So if you ever feel like you're disconnected, all you got to do is just type a period in one of the chat rooms, and then if it doesn't show up, that's a clear sign that you're disconnected from the game. But maybe Nerdhead is. Maybe Nerdhead is suffering the wrath of Pox Nora's unstable servers right now. But Nerdhead passing his turn without doing a single thing. So I guess, yeah, man, Punk for Life getting a free turn there. That's pretty lucky. But we'll see what he does with this advantage that has been granted to him. I don't know. Maybe he'll even go for the shrine. Oh, it seems like he is. It seems like he's going to go for the hit on the shrine here. He doesn't quite have the kill, obviously, but Talgar moving into this font, and then Dwarven Wind Fury could probably recontest, sit right there. I mean, he has 4 range. No, he's going to put the Brewbacher brothers there. All right. And that's probably the best one to put there, the resist physical one, because Condor, you got Ranger Elite physical damage, and then Menelaus is a little bit too far away to hit it with its magic attack. We see a hammer throw here onto the Condor Fury, just softening it up a little bit, softening it up for the time when it will go down. But yeah, if I were Nerdhead, first of all, I'd get better internet, but I'd also get moving on this force that's threatening your shrine here. I mean, that's a lot of forces. Like Iron Fist Stronghold can pull off a shrine kill pretty much from out of nowhere, assuming they have the right units down. I've killed many a shrine by deploying Minister and invigorating it instantly on deploy with a standard bearer or a beer maiden. And the surprise battle drum can sort of take people by surprise. But yeah, Iron Fist Stronghold, very well known for their power turns. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen like a Dwarven King or even a Skizik, half Skizik being deployed yet for Warcry. Sort of a staple for dwarf decks, I would say. Just any Warcry champ. I mean, if a theme has access to that you really want to include one of those. Just because, I mean, the extra AP gen is so helpful for same race decks. Man, Nerdhead, you really, please don't DC. I really don't want this game to end in such an anticlimactic way, but it seems like that's the direction it's going. So yeah, it looks like he's just gonna sit there, isn't he? Damn. All right. Well, I can't say I'm too broken up about seeing Iron Fist Stronghold win, but I just wish it was better. Wish it was a better ending. Because this game, up until now, this game has been pretty good. There's been a lot of action, a lot of fun contesting going back and forth. But yeah, it's no fun when your opponent, like when you're having a really rough and tumble match with your opponent, and it's back and forth and game's going good, and then all of a sudden your opponent disconnects and you're like, oh, well, that's disappointing. It's like blue balls, it's just anyway. Got Brewbacher brother, Punk for Life's champions are positioned around the font, and Nerdhead gonna run out his turn again. And I guess Cardinal, of course, coming in for the backup sermon, giving all these dwarves a buff to their HP. A little late, but better late than never. Brewmaster hasn't actually passed off a Firebeer brew yet. It's interesting, actually, that Punk for Life is running the Soul Reaver. You'd think that with... You'd think that with running Saint Samir's brew for Cleanse and Purified, you really wouldn't need the Soul Reaver in your deck at all. But, I guess having access to it instantly is fine too, but not really something I'd go for in full dwarves. And Punk for Life. So Punk for Life actually not going for the shrine. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe he wants to be a gentleman about it and not take advantage too hard of the fact that Nerdhead is DC'd, but I don't know. If I were in this position, I'd probably just go for the shrine and end it. I mean, why would you extend the game when there's pretty much no chance of Nerdhead coming back in? Like, at this point, Nerdhead has lost 2 turns, and his champions are vastly out of position. So I don't know. I would have just gone in with that Talgar to the shrine, maybe gone in with the Wind Fury to the shrine as well, and just sort of started poking at it. But maybe Punk for Life, maybe they know each other. Maybe this is like a grudge match between them, and they want to, Punk for Life wants to draw out Nerdhead's suffering as much as possible. But we will definitely see that Brewbacher brother still on 5 HP, and there's a 5 AP, I should say, and there's a Hammer Strike actually onto the Ranger Elite, and followed by a Macadamize. All right. I don't know about that. Punk for Life. I mean, the Macadamize is a good spell. Don't get me wrong, It didn't really actually do anything here. He just sort of cast it for shits and giggles, basically. So Priest of Valdak gonna get a tap off onto that Lancer. While Gallows Warden hangs in the back, 5 HP. You did good, buddy. You deserve a rest. He actually did quite a lot that game. He killed 2 champions, basically, in a 1v... kind of a 1v3, honestly, if you consider the Elven Archer. But Demolition Team capturing that bottom font. And then, I guess he can get off 2 hits next turn onto that Shrine. But yeah, I really feel like if Nerdhead doesn't come back this turn, I'm probably going to end the recording here. Just because, I mean, he's just going to keep passing turns until until the game ends, basically. And it doesn't seem like Punk for Life is going to keep, is going to focus the Shrine. But hopefully, maybe Nerdhead will come back and deploy like 5 champions at his Shrine, and suddenly it'll turn into a good game again. But yeah, hopefully the next game will be a better one. I'm probably going to upload this one anyway, just because, the middle part was pretty good, despite the unsatisfying ending. But, that's the way these games go sometimes. I've watched Nerdhead's games before, and he doesn't really seem like the type to intentionally DC. It's probably just like, someone's at the door type of scenario. But we will see what happens. Maybe he got a package delivered. Maybe his girlfriend walked in and was like, "Now? You wanna?" And Nerdhead was like, "You bet your ass I want." And, it's a game of Pox. Nora is definitely... definitely ranks lower on the attractiveness scale than that. But, Nerdhead, he played a decent match while it lasted. But, yeah, Punk for Life's champion's very aggressively positioned here. It seems like Nerdhead is going to run out the third turn of inactivity here. So we'll just end the recording here. Both sides played pretty well, and we'll see everyone in the next one.